Hey there folks, this is Ed Beard again with the Employer's Edge, and the focus of our time together today is on how organizations can do a better job making their new managers and new leaders be more successful in their new management and leadership role. And it's kind of a simple idea, but it's a place where we see organizations curiously just seem to fall down a lot. And it came up today because Sylvia, who is just a wonderfully passionate employee, engaged, and she's just all about the company, has always wanted to be in a management role with direct reports. She's always wanted to pay the image, the recognition, the title, and so the organization found a place for her in another department, transferred her over there, gave her the job description, and met with the boss and gave her people files, her team files, and let her know exactly what she's going to be doing. And then she gets a call today, and the call came in from payroll, says, "Where's your paycheck reviews?" She says, "Well, what's a paycheck review?" Well, every other week you got to send in your paycheck reviews to make sure everything is still on schedule here. She had no idea she had to do that. Right? And so here it's just a surprise for her. Now, instead of doing what she's supposed to be doing on her schedule that day, she's doing paycheck reviews so people get paid on time, when in fact she was never, one, told that she had to do that, but two, she was never trained on it. And the organization realized in that moment they didn't have training on how to train new managers and leaders to do paycheck reviews. So how we help organizations overcome this problem here at the Employer's Edge, quite simple, but it's actually pretty effective, is what we call the 120-day must-learn, must-do checklist. And what a great reference for any new manager to be handed this and said, in your first 120 days, here's what you need to learn. And in your first 120 days, here's what you need to do, so that you can give a new manager the biggest scope, the full scope of what they have to learn and do, what they're responsible for, but it also shares the nuances of the job so that they can be most effective and most efficient, because these paycheck review surprises get really frustrating. This is about the fifth one Sylvia's been hit with, where she says, no one ever told me that. Like, how was I supposed to know that? And she's starting to get really frustrated in her new role. In addition to that, the organization is starting to look at her like she's just not cutting it. I mean, she's not getting it done, right? So some examples of what a new manager might need to learn or do: they may need to learn a vendor contracts or several vendor contracts. They may have to do attendance reviews. They may have to manage an asset somehow and give there's a reporting process back to the organization for that asset. Well, where do I get the form? On what form does it go? How do they want it to look? When does it have to be in? That could be the responsibility of a manager or leader that they didn't even know about came with the role. Perhaps there's an approval process. They may just need to learn the company values. They may need to learn a new applicant tracking or new performance management software now that they're in this role. They may have to learn which employees are on a performance improvement plan. There may be some security protocols that they have to learn that they don't really, that they're not currently familiar with because they've never had to deal with it before. Examples of some things new managers or leaders may have to do: they may have to get their name transferred onto documents and lists and get the old person's name off that list. Go introduce yourself to the legal department or information technology, because you're going to be working with them closely. You may have to fill out insurance forms so that your people can go drive cars or get gas cards. They may have to complete assessments. They may have to go check inventories or double check forecasts. You may have to work with forecasting raw materials for a certain vendor. And when does that due? What day is it due? How does it have to look? And so these are all the nuances of what a new manager or leader may have to do. They have clues they have to do it. This came up, the other day, is John in manufacturing. Any request of manufacturing over $10,000 had to be in red ink, or John's going to kick it back to you. That goes on this list. Go introduce yourself to John and learn John's processes so that you and John are working together most effectively. So here's what you do. The best person to fill out this 120-day must-learn, must-do list is the current manager in the current role. I mean, what better person to teach the next person? Because if that current manager ever becomes ill, has an unexpected delay in their job, they have to go out and do something, or maybe they quit and move on. What better person to tell the next person who's going to fill that role, hey man, here's what you got to do and learn. Here's how you can be most successful sitting in my seat right here. We also use this 120-day must-learn, must-do checklist on interviews. You actually hand this to the interviewee and say, here's what you have to do in your first, here's what you have to learn and do in your first 90 or 120 days. Tell me how your behaviors fit this list. And sometimes you'll get applicants say, I got to fill out 18 reports once a week. I'm not doing that. This job is not for me. It's just way too administrative heavy. Thanks for the time, but I'm not your guy. Isn't that a great time to let people know what's coming? Let them know what the everyday part of the job looks like before they actually take the job? I mean, what a great time to let them know that. So use the 120-day must-learn, must-do checklist. Call me if you need a copy of it. I'll email it to you at theemployersedge.com. Email it to you. But this is where we see organizations a room for improvement on helping their new leaders and their new managers be most successful in their new role. I hope today's focus helped you.